Morning, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be doing a noob's guide to TSM4. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so today we are going to be doing a noob's guide to TSM, or TradeSkillMaster. Now to start this off, this has been a long time coming, and so that being the case, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to be wanting to do is head over to the TSM website, and this can be easily done by just typing it into Google and you will find it pretty much. You'll get greeted to this page right here, and then all you have to do is go to the top up here and press install TSM. Now it will tell you to download the TSM application for your computer, so all you do is go to download and it will download a zip file for you. So it will come here, and that is pretty much what you do. You just extract it and then press install for the actual TSM app. Now you will have to log in and create an account in order to do this, and all you do is just basically go to create account, type in username and all that jazz, and pretty much this is what you're going to be using in order to do all of your stuff. Now obviously I blanked out my login and all that jazz just because it's my login. So once I have logged in, all I have to do now is just go to the TSM application. So all I have to do is just go TSM, go to the application, run it and upload it. This will come up with apparently a release has just come up for it. This application will update for you every single time, and that being the case will do it for your specific realms that you are on. It will ask you for a little bit of a setup in order to do, and all you do there is just go to settings. And when you're in setting, you go to settings, you go to your general stuff and you just go set up realms, and it will take you to the realms part of the TSM website. This is where you can add a realm onto your thing in order to do certain things. So in my case, my one that I usually do is Thunderhorn EU, and this one is so I can now get all the relevant data for my auctions, and this can be widely used inside the game. Other than that, you will have to go over to your Twitch or Curse account and download the relevant add-on to go with this application, as it doesn't work solely off of that. TradeSkillMaster, it will come up right here, and all you have to do is just download this, and the TradeSkillMaster add-on will be downloaded. And now it's all incorporated. You don't have to download any of the TradeSkillMaster crafting add-ons or auctioning add-ons because they're not relevant anymore, because it's all built into the TSM or the TradeSkillMaster add-on as a whole now. So that's all you need to do is just download that and the application for Windows. Other than that, you are pretty much all set for doing your stuff. And that being the case, you should all be set up. Other than that, if you wanted to add a realm, I'm going to show you right now. I'm just on AgeWin US, and you can press this down bar to pick any realm that you're on. So for me personally, I'll go to EU, and I will go down to, we'll say we're going to Sargeras, and all I do is add realm, and this will immediately update in the next update for my thing, or you can close down the application and then re-upload it. As per this, I'm just exiting TSM, type in TSM again, it will load up and it will upload all of the relevant information for Sargeras EU for all of the data that we're going to be needing as further go forward. Other than that, I don't really need that, so I will just remove that from my TSM. And now let's actually get into the game part of everything. So the best part of starting off is probably by going into this. And once you have set up your add-on for TradeSkillMaster, it's right here. You will obviously you don't need the auction DB anymore because that's built into TradeSkillMaster. The app helper is required, just as a side note, and this is to merge the desktop add-on with the actual add-on for the game. And all you're going to need to do now is just make sure they are checked, and all you have to do is just then go into your TSM fit layout. Now this is the dashboard for TSM, and this provides you all with all of your relevant information that you need. So you've got your sales, so how much total gold you have earned, your average earned per day, and your top selling item, and my one currently is Siren's Pollen. Now for expenses, this can go into your like crafting and all of that jazz, and it will tell you how much gold you've spent in order to craft, and currently says for me around about 1,312,198 gold, and my average spent per day is around about 12,000 gold, and this is usually for just crafting purposes, because not only do I do this for the gold cap challenge, but I do this in my regular day stuff, so I obviously use other characters for gold making. And my top selling my top expense that I've used is platinum ore. Other than that, we do have another part, and that is profit. My total profit earned through like crafting and all of that jazz, and that is 613,000 gold. I don't do that much crafting as a lot of people do. I thoroughly just spend most of my time going out in the real world and farming up stuff and then selling those on the auction house, because I find that to be most enjoyable. But if you are a crafter, it will tell you how much profit you've made in total and the average profit per day, and for me it's pretty measly, around about 5,353 gold. My most profitable item has been Star Moss apparently, and that being the case, you can go through all of your characters, and all of my characters throughout the realm that I'm on. It does change depending on what characters you actually do have. And other than that, let's get into our groups. Now groups starting off can be explained relatively simply, and we will do this by just creating a new base group. Now this is a new group by just going to base group and press this little button of a plus sign. It's really straightforward. We're going to rename it, and we're going to call it post 5. So we're going to post 5 items with this thing. Now we've got to find 5 things we want to post with this, so we'll just fly over to the bank. I'm pretty certain I actually have some stuff in there that I can just show as a reference. And if we go into my regions, we'll just grab some, I don't know, Ink of the Sea. We'll just grab some Ink of the Sea. And our aim for this is to set it up so it actually sells 5 stacks instead of the 200 all in one. And now as you can tell with TSM, it's actually showing you up your min buyout when you hover over the item of 65 gold, your market value 78 gold, your region market value average, which is across all EU realms, and that is 121 gold, and you have your region sale average, so that's the average sales for that particular item across all EU realms. So if it says region, it's across the EU or the US, depending on what server you're getting your data from. Now, other than that, your min buyout is specifically for your realm, and that tells you what's the minimum buyout which is on the auction house right at this second. And your market value is how much it's actually at. So what we're going to be wanting to do is by going over to TSM, and we'll go into the groups, and we'll go to post 5, and you can see in the ungrouped items it says the Ink of the Sea. All you have to do is just click on that item and press add, and it will add it to this group specifically. Other than that, that is pretty much all you need to know for your group, your adding and removing of items, and we'll go to the group operations in a second once we have actually created the operation for it. So we'll move over to operations, and we will go down to auctioning. Now we're going to go to the plus sign again, and we're going to create a new operation. So to make it simply, we're just going to go post 5 once again, and we'll do that in a lowercase so we know which one it actually is. We're going to match stack size, and we're going to ignore auctions by duration. When we go to creating the posting of an auction, all we're going to have to do is go straight to set auction duration to, and I usually go for 24 hours because I don't really have a lot of time to do 12 hours, because if you do 12 hours, that means like you're posting twice a day and relisting your auctions twice a day. You do get some decent sales and you will be on top of most people if you do this, but to be honest, 24 hours is the more logical way of doing it because everyone's got things going on in the real world and this just tends to work. If you're super lazy, go for 48 hours. Other than that, you're going to be wanting to go to set your post cap to whatever, and I go for the maximum amount, and that's 200. And your post cap is basically how many auctions of that particular item can you have up at one time, and the maximum says around about 200, so I set it at 200. Now set posted stack size to what number, and that can go up to a max of 1000, and I usually go, and what we're going to be wanting to do is not have that at 1, we're going to have it at number 5, so we will have stacks of 5 for our auction. Are we going to allow partial stack sizes? And that is simply put, if I just go like that, 59, that I can then post auctions that are odd in that. So say we had a load of a particular item, allow partial stack sizes lets you post a load of number 5s, and then right at the end, if you still got like 3 left, they will post that as well. So allow partial stack sizing is very, very handy if you're just going out and farming. Now keep this amount in the bags. This is it's okay. I don't really use it all that much because I post everything that I do, but if you wanted to keep a certain amount in your bags, we'll do that right now, and we'll keep 10 of the Inks of the Sea in my bag, and we'll post the 120 as well, as we put down 10. If you don't want to do that, just leave it at 0. You do not have to worry about that. Now moving on to don't post after this many expires. I'm not going to confuse you with this, but simply put, it just will stop posting stuff if you're going to lose gold. So obviously I'm not going to try and confuse you with all of that stuff, so we'll move down to the price settings. We will do an intermediate guide on this, but this is just so you understand the basics of TSM. Now set a bid as percentage of buyout, and that can either be put at 100% or any form of percentage, but the majority of the time I would just leave it at 100%. If you wanted to increase the amount of gold you're selling stuff for, put it at 110, but to be honest, at the end of the day, I don't go any higher than 100%. I sometimes, with my usual stuff, I'll just go to 99% if I want to undercut by a major amount, but at the end of the day, just leave it at 100% for setting your bid price for buyout. When you go to your undercut amount, do not touch this. This is for 1 copper. This undercuts everything by 1 copper when you post it on the auction house, and this will undercut everyone who's selling that particular item. This is so you get the most amount of gold without undercutting too much. So this little section here for setting the prices, just leave exactly the way you found it if you are a beginner, because if you don't really understand the basics, then you're not going to know the intermediate stuff for obvious reasons. When it comes down to your minimum price, TSM do this lovely piece of stuff for you already, and this bases it off of the DB market or the brackets of the crafting for it, or the DB region market value average, and this is probably one of the best solutions in order to post on the auction house. Does not actually make a hell of a lot of money on it, so you could always set your maximum price as DB as your DB market, and you just leave it at that, and this will just do it at the DB market average, and that is where it will do it at the market value, which is located over when you cursor over to your Ink of the Sea, you'll see that the market value average is 78 gold. So the maximum amount of gold that this operation will post the Ink of the Sea at is 78 gold. You can go with your min buyout, and this is another way in order to do this. So there are loads of different ways in order to put stuff into these little section boxes, and it is relatively simple in order for you to do. So obviously I'm going to go over to the TSM website, and we're just going to go over the basic commands that you can use. So the market value, if you want to post something at the market value, is DB market, and all we do is set the DB market like that, and it will just post it at the market value for that. And there is other ways in order to do this, and this can be done with the DB historical, and this is the historical price. This is the average across the 60 days of posting. So the average it's been posted at for the last 60 days, it will post it at that. This is a great way in order to post on the auction house for transmog, and I usually go with that just because transmog's easier to post with that set command. So if I wanted to post something at the historical, I just go DB historical, and then I set it like that, and it will do the historical price for me in order to post on the auction house. Other than that, I'm just going to leave it at DB market because we're going to keep it simple and all of that jazz. Other than that, you can leave this like that, but you can make a lot more gold in the long run with just doing your own commands and of such. And we will be doing a separate guide in order to make something flashy like this in order to try and maximize the amount of gold you actually have. When below min price, don't post items. This is another thing that you can do when it comes to setting your prices for your minimum price. I will say when it is below the minimum price of your auction, don't post item or post at minimum price. I usually set it at post at minimum price. When it is at maximum price, then I will post it at maximum, or you can always do for normal price, but I usually set that for maximum because we have our set normal price right here, which does not have a lovely little slide down menu for that. Other than that, that is pretty much all we needed to do for posting, and you can go into cancelling. So cancel undercut auctions, and you just leave that as checked. You go into cancel to repost higher, and no, I sometimes do cancel just solely because I don't want, I'm just reposting the items. I'm not wanting to repost it higher, but I would leave this checked if you're just basic beginner and you just want to post your stuff to the auction house. Other than that, the thresholds and all that, you don't really need to worry about your cancelling auctions because at the moment you're just caring about getting that on the auction house. So that being the case, that is the operation done for your auction, and you just go into your group management in the details part of your operations, and you just go post 5 and you add that into there. So your group management is your operation is now linked with your group of post 5, and when you go back over to your groups, which is in the group section again, go to your post 5 and go into group operations. The group operations will show up like this, and it will leave you with a default. I usually remove that, and we go to select operation, go down to post 5, and this will link it into the operation. Other than that, that is pretty much what we've done for posting this on the auction house. So let's actually post this on the auction house. So we'll fly over to the auction house and we'll see if this operation works. Now make sure that this is in yellow, so you just click it to deselect and select. So obviously we've left it at select, and it's just scanning it above maximum price, posting at maximum price, which we set it at the market value, which is 78 gold, 64 silver and 55 copper. And all we're doing is now posting this to the auction house, and we will get into the sliding macro for the thing, and it's undercutted plenty pocket, whoever this player is, and it's using the post 5 auction. Other than that, we can then go into our stuff, which is and you can see we've got stacks of 5 of the Ink of the Sea set at 48 hours apparently. So apparently we've made a little bit of a boo-boo. So we'll go into our operations, go into post 5, and apparently it's selected at 24 hours. So I don't understand what is going on there, but for some reason it's set for 48 hours. So that's a little bit worrying. But other than that, TSM has been playing up recently, and usually all of my stuff is set for 24 hours, so I'm not worried at all about this little bug or hiccup. That does sometimes happen, and it does do a little hiccup, but trust me, as long as you've set it in your operations, it will actually set it for your specific time, which is 24 hours. It just likes to do weird stuff. Just going by what we set in our operations, it said leave 10 for us, which it has. So we've still got 10 Ink of the Seas on the auction house. Other than that, that's pretty much all I want to cover for the basics of posting and all of that jazz. But if I wanted to cancel something on the auction house, we will go over to the auction house, and all we do there is go over to auctioning, and we press run cancel scan, and it will scan through all of the groups you have selected. So I could go into Eternal Flip, scan, and it will scan all of the auctions that are being cancelled, but unfortunately I don't have anything for the Eternal Flip as at this moment in time. If I wanted to cancel all of my Ink of the Seas, I will just go into that, and it will just start the scanning. Bear in mind, TSM does take a little while to scan through stuff sometimes, depends on your computer and also depends on your connection, but it will eventually do it for the cancel scan. The posting of stuff on the auction house is relatively easy. As long as this is all selected, you won't have an issue. This is where you see all of your auctions on My Auctions when you go to the auction house, and it will come up with this little bit, and it will sell all of your stuff on the auction house. At the bottom of on the bottom of the screen, it will tell you your sold auctions, which is 4,806 gold currently at this moment in time that we've sold. So if I went all the way to the top, it will add up all of the stuff that I've just sold at this moment in time and is pending to go to the mailbox. It will tell you how much you're currently going to be making. Your posted auctions are currently worth 1,236,407 gold, and it will just tell you how much you've relatively got in your auction house. Obviously we've covered the auctioning part, so now let's get into shopping. Shopping is relatively simple. We just press on the shopping and you type in the item that you want. So I could always go Ink of the Sea, shift click, and it will automatically scan for that auction. Obviously we can see that the Ink of the Sea is here, and we do have a few people which are like that. At the moment we obviously set it at the market value average, so it's currently at 100% and not 83. If you wanted to set your auction to be fully undercutting everything, then when you're in your operations, just go into here, go down to your normal buyout and just set that as the DB market, or otherwise just leave it as it is. And pretty much don't fiddle around with the setting of the prices. All you just got to do is group them with the operations. Other than that, it does do it by default, so you don't have to do that at that point if you don't feel comfortable playing around with TSM. Other than that, there are a few other things that we could go over, and that is with the shopping. So if we went into a profession and I said that this is and I said that I wanted to create some, say I wanted to make some Vantis runes of the Crucible of Storms. It will come up with this UI, but you can obviously switch back and forth between the two. And I want to go to crafting, press the crafting bit here, and I can then go down to the Vantis runes, which are here. And the Crucible of Storms one is relatively easy. Obviously I need 1,000 Viridescent ink, and I've already got 3,000 ultramarine and 100 light parchment. All you do is just press the amount that you want, type it in and press Q. Once you've got it in the queue, it will tell you your estimated cost in how much you're going to spend for your crafting and how much profit you are going to make from this by selling it on the auction house. Other than that, when you're looking at your stuff, anything in green is profitable and anything that is red is non-profitable. You're going to lose gold on it. And on the side of this is your sales average for that particular item. So most of the time it is just common sense, but for Vantis runes at 0.26, that is pretty good for me, as I can then sell that on the auction house for raid night and they will majoritarily sell quite well. Other than that, there are a few other things that you can sell, and obviously when it comes to transmog, the sell rates are a bit whack, so they do take a while in order to sell. Once you have got this into the queue and you've pressed the Q button for adding something else, it will go in there, and all we do there is just go over to your gathering, and all you do is just go over to here and press open tasks. But this will give you a task list for TSM, and you just go into the auction house, go into your shopping, and just go over to your task list right here and press scan all. And this will open up your shopping and it will scan all of the items you need in order to craft, and it will immediately go out of what you need. So we could go into here, have a look at all the Viridescent ink, and I could buy some stacks of 200, buy those, and it will go down on what I need. So I need 400 of the Viridescent ink. So I just go over to the stack, buy that, and it will keep going down until I am done, pretty much. So I will keep going and keep going until I have bought as much as I need. So obviously I need a bit more than just that, and I need 11 more, and apparently this is my auction. So all I have to do is just go into here and type in the Viridescent ink, Viridescent pigment, and I can just cancel my auction like that by scanning it. And now that means I have done all of my auctions for that, and all I do now is just go into my buys, and you press the buys button in your auction house, and that's pretty much what you got done. Then you can press your cancels and you can gather that all up. And once I have that in the auction house, I can now finish with this by pressing the X button, and now all I have to do is just get my Viridescent inks. So if I wanted to get Viridescent inks, all I have to do now is get this Viridescent pigment and then craft that into Viridescent ink. And that can be done by just going to Borealis and buying out the distilled water and the Arcana powder and then craft that into that. Or we can just craft the stuff in a second. So bear with me, we'll go over to Borealis and then I can show you how we do this. Currently we are pretty much ready to craft some stuff, and we'll just go into our inscription, and here it is. If it is ready to be crafted and it has the stuff that you need to craft something, then all you have to do is just go over to what it actually is in your profession and just press craft, and it will craft one thing for you unless you queue any others. So if I wanted to craft all, you just press craft all and it will craft all of the Viridescent ink that I need, and then I can just either post that on the auction house for 50 gold profit, or I can turn it into or I can turn that into the Vantis runes for a profit of 516 gold. So crafting is obviously quite easy to do, and I thoroughly enjoy doing Vantis, and I thoroughly enjoy doing crafting. But that's pretty much what I want to do for the Noob's Guide for TSM. It's basic beginners stuff, and to be honest, if you want to do a TSM guide for transmog, I will do a complete setup next week in order to do a full guide on how to post a load of transmog on the auction house. I'll gather up a load of different types of items in order to do, but this is just a basic beginner's guide in order to post stuff to the auction house without a flurry or a hope. So hopefully this has helped you guys and answered any few questions that you need. Other than that, the TSM transmog guide shall be next Monday. So other than that, guys, I shall see you on the next video, which it will be Wednesday. Have a lovely rest of the day, guys, and I shall see you soon.